Heartbeats. Guess what? I have another special guest. And I have to tell you before I introduce you to her, how I met her. So I was moseying along in a local health food store, and I saw this woman with a t-shirt on that said Black Hypnotist. I was like, oh no, this is wonderful. So I should say not no. Oh yes, I'm so happy so I turned around and said, hi, like a little kindergarten, I'm a hypnotherapist too. And so we just started talking, and she invited me to an event where she was also a speaker, and it was a breakfast type presentation. I had a great time. You should have seen her face when I showed up, because a lot of times people say, yeah, I'll be there, I'm going to show up, and don't show up. Well, I'm not the one. I show up. Ain't that right? Let me introduce you to Jessica, the Black Hypnotist. Hey there, Jessica.
Hey, Sharon, the Heart Lady.
So good to see you again and talk to you. I know you're in Indiana.
Yeah, little tongue twister, Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. I'm tongue twister. I can't even say tongue twist. I'm tongue twist today, but that's all right, because we're gonna get through it. She's gonna do most of the talking, not me, so we'll be good. Jessica, introduce yourself, please. Tell us all the wonderful ways on how you serve people.
Yes. So first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. I know that we both feel like that interaction in us meeting was completely divine led, and I'm just so grateful to have met you, and that you showed up to that brunch too. That was completely awesome. But a little bit about me is I actually started my therapy career back in 2014 when I graduated with my master's in marriage.
Her graduation in marriage. So Jessica, you're frozen a little bit. So I'm probably going to ask you to start all over again when we unfreeze. People understand that, this is how technology is. This is Zoom. This is Mercury. We're in retrograde, 21 days. And I really hadn't experienced it so bad. But this one, oh my goodness, this phase, I'm having all kind of computer issues. So bear with us. Jessica, you're unfrozen. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Screen just froze a little bit. So pick us up from that. You have a master's in marriage and family counseling. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I have a master's in marriage and family therapy. And after that, I just kind of job hopped for a little bit. I worked in treatment facilities. I've done mainly treatment facilities or outpatient facilities, things like that. And it was cool, but I knew that there was more. And I'll never forget being in a supervision session with my supervisor, and she was like, everything doesn't have to be deep. And I'm thinking like, well, if people want to heal, like we got to go deep. And I knew what she meant, but the way that my mind works and what I feel like I'm called for, yes, I want to go deep. So with that being said, that has always been me, going back to the childhood, looking into the subconscious mind. So I ran across what is inner child healing. Maybe back in, gosh, I don't know, 2016. And I just was like, oh my God, this is the answer to everything. This is why people are so crazy and messed up, including myself. Like, this is going to help me. It's going to help people. And I just got so interested in that. Yeah. And I started integrating inner child work into my work. And then I ran across hypnotherapy, and that was around the same time where I started learning about the law of attraction and the importance of your subconscious mind. And I'm like, if I can work with the subconscious mind, we're really going to go deep and help heal people. Oh. And I betted on myself and invested in that course, and it has paid off. So right now I currently practice RTT hypnotherapy. I've helped close to 500 people. I cannot believe I'm saying that. That number seems so big compared to the work I've done in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Actually, to be 3 years that I became certified in 2020.
Yeah.
So I have seen it all, heard it all, done it all when it comes to people's stories and the traumas that they've endured and that they're overcoming. And I just love the work that I do. I love providing people a level of freedom that they didn't even think was ever possible.
Absolutely. Yes, it is. My experience with my clients and during an introductory course teaching it is it's so gratifying to see the change again. I mean, just as a tool added to what we do, it's life changing. And that inner child work, people, may have various ideas of what they think that is, but it is an evidence base that we carry our belief systems from childhood. If they are not interrupted and reframed, we bring the characteristics from our parents or our caregivers straight on into adulthood, and those are the interrupters in our relationships, whether it's an intimate relationship, a co-working relationship, a friendship basis type of relationship. It governs how we act towards unexpected challenges or expected challenges. And so doing hypnotherapy really is a tool, an avenue on where you can find inner peace, find the answers to some of the questions that you have. So thank you for sharing that with us, Jessica, how you came onto the journey of from doing family and marriage counseling to hypnotherapy. It's just a whole nother level too. And I'm glad that you didn't say, oh, we don't have to go that deep. Because if we don't go deep, foundation deep, core deep, then we're just putting a Band-Aid on the issue, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm just so grateful that I can provide that deepness for my clients.
So tell us a little bit about how you practice and how you go around, or maybe let me ask another question first. Tell our viewers what hypnosis is. I know that there's a whole lot of myths out there. Could you debunk some of those myths for us?
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite things to do because so many of us, when I say us, specifically Black and Brown people, there's a really big, scary stigma around hypnosis, which really makes me sad because while I've helped a lot of people, I also know there's a lot of people that has shunned away from this practice because of negative beliefs that they've heard.
Yeah.
And so hypnotherapy is not what we see on TV. You know, a lot of people are scared that will take over their mind or get inside their mind, when honestly, you're in more control of the session than I am, is what I always tell my clients. You're not going to bark like a dog or quack like a duck. I always tell my clients, if I tell you right now to get up and go rob a bank, you'll be like, Jessica, I'm not doing that. You're crazy. Just to let them know how aware you are. And so, yes, I always reiterate that you're very aware, you're in complete control, you're conscious, and you're going to remember your experience. And of course that helps clients like, oh, okay. They always come in nervous, and I'm like, that's totally normal. I totally get that. And I really see hypnotherapy is such a special and spiritual thing, because if hypnotherapy deals with your subconscious mind, I feel like, and if 95% of our life is ran by our subconscious, I just feel like that is such a strong spiritual connection. And for us to have the technology to do a hypnosis session where I can see what are the stuck patterns in your subconscious mind, to me, that's incredible. That's a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And so I love hypnotherapy, and I love educating people on what it's not either. But luckily for me, I've had so many people that have been open, excited, and willing for the process.
Oh, great. And I know that you've had great success. Sometimes you do need, well, let me put it this way. Does one session do it?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. And what I've seen mostly is that now we'll say majority of my clients do get one session.
Mhm.
I may check in with them. Well, I will follow up with them within that first month. But say if I run into them a year or 2 years later, they're like, hey, I want to come back because they have they have a threshold at a new level. And so that new level requires new skills, new insights, more than likely a layer of beliefs that you're going to have to get rid of in order to conquer this new level.
Yeah.
But say if a client is coming in for confidence, one session may give them
Yeah.
all the confidence that they are satisfied with.
Yeah.
If they come back for a second session, I've never seen, except if it may be maybe weight loss,
Yeah.
or cigarette smoking. But if it's more so of a emotional and mental, usually they don't pick that same thing the second time around. So if they're coming in the first time for lack of confidence, maybe they want to focus on their second session on anxiety or business blocks or something like that. So I feel like it's an unlimited range in hypnotherapy what you can focus on. Well, there are some limits, but for the most part, unlimited.
I agree. I truly agree. How long is a typical session for you?
About an hour and 20, anywhere between an hour and 10 and an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I've had them last up to 2 hours, and I was like, everyone responds differently, but yeah, about an hour and 20 minutes is on average.
It just depends on how nervous the person is, the questions they ask, the intake, the information, and how long it really gets them to relax into a point where you can talk to the subconscious mind. So yeah, I love that. So tell me why is it so important to get in touch with your inner child?
For so many reasons. First of all, we all have an inner child, a hurting inner child to some extent. Even if you had a marvelous childhood, your parents were great, awesome, you were raised in a great neighborhood, even if you have the dream childhood, I guarantee you when you shuffle back somewhere, you have a wounded inner child in some aspect. And the reason why I'm confident in saying that is just the way that children develop between the ages of 1 and 7. Children are very egocentric, so they think that everything is about them. They take everything personal. So say if their sister, it could be their sister that pushed them and said, that's why no one likes you in the family anyway. And she could just be hating on her little brother and saying that, and that something like that, especially if they're before the age of 7.
Yeah.
It can stick those cause type of subconscious blocks. And so whether you had big devastating trauma that happened in your life or smaller emotional trauma such as your sister saying you're not a part of this family or just feeling like you're the middle child and you're not heard, there is something within your childhood that you feel like is wounded just a little bit. And our inner child is always going to be with us no matter what. And the wounded self is the self that presents itself in front in the loudest. And it's those wounds that make those decisions for us if we're not actively healing those wounds or even acknowledging those wounds. So we all have, to a degree, a hurting inner child in us until we do the work and we heal and bond and love with that inner child. in inner child work, you know, it increases healthy relationships, the relationships with yourself, having the ability to receive more, addressing, acknowledging childhood trauma so that you can become your best self. I mean, there's so many reasons and benefits on why you want to heal your inner child.
Well, Jessica, how does one know that their inner child, the wound, especially like how you gave the example, hey, I had a happy childhood. You know, I had both parents in the household, my siblings and I got along. And how will I know that I have a hurting inner child?
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like one of the greatest clues to know if you have a hurting inner child is if you have what I call fruits of shame.
Mm.
And in my workshop, I have a healing workshop. In that workshop, I actually talk more about shame than I talk about the inner child.
Mm.
Matter of fact, before I started the workshop, it used to be called Breaking the Toxic Spell because it was about how do you overcome shame. And then I incorporate the inner child, but I kind of flipped it and put the focus on healing your inner child now, but I really dig deep into shame in that. And I have the attendees of the workshop to identify their fruits of shame. And a fruit of shame is codependency, people pleasing, caretaking, addiction, rage, anger, projection, suppressing your feelings. Anything that is a fruit of shame, what I just named, or something similar to that, is an indicator that you have a hurting inner child.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you. So I wanted to get the viewers to kind of have a greater understanding that even though you think that everything's all right, but how do you identify it? She just mentioned a lot of those. If you find a lot of clients people pleasing and patterns that repeat often enough and that are not beneficial to you, are also ways that you can kind of tell, well, how come I always pick this kind of guy? Or how come I always get fired? Or how come this makes me angry? And those type of things really are part of what was happening to you while you were growing up. And between the ages of 0 and 7, you're a sponge. You soak up everything. You're just now developing your personality and your belief system that you after the age 7, between 7 and 14, these things are kind of locked into who you will become as an adult. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Could you give us a tip on a tip about hypnosis, or what we can do, something maybe about self-hypnosis, or a little bit more about how you would say that this really benefits all type of people in all types of walk?
Yeah. So as far as a tip on hypnosis, the first thing that came to my mind was be open to trying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be open to trying hypnosis. I would say is a really, really great tip. And I love that you're having me on as a guest and allowing other Black women or men to be able to see that they're represented here and to have a safe place in the hypnotherapy field or sector, because I know that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very few of us. And so I'm glad that we are coming in onto this specialty here, and that because we also understand the culture behind our people and what they think. And I think that we are better suited to be able to work with our client with our backgrounds and them feeling a lot more comfortable. And I'm really hoping that a lot more of us, and that there are other coaches who come and may see this interview and say, hey, this is another modality to what you already do. The fact is that a lot of psychiatrists are adapting some of the verbiage and neurolinguistic programming into their therapy. And now you're also noticing that there's a lot of psychiatrists or or psychologists that are also taking courses as being life coaches.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that is creating a bridge. And it's all about really self-development. And for my clients during the first session, I'm teaching self-hypnosis because this is something that you can continue to maintain. And so learning self-hypnosis, you'll have a better integration with the hypnosis that you do with a facilitator like myself or Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
Give us again where, and I'll make sure that I'll also attach the link, but how can people get in touch with you? Do you do virtual?
I do.
Oh.
I do virtual. Matter of fact, I probably am about 50-50. I've done 50% virtual sessions in my career, 50% in person, especially during the thick of COVID. And people are like, I don't want to do virtual. I want to come in person, which I get that. However, doing virtual does not take away from the effectiveness of the process at all. Okay. And I've had people virtually get amazing results. So yes, I do virtual.
Oh, wonderful. So tell people how they can get in contact with you.
Yes, so I am Jessica Gordon on all platforms, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. I am Jessica Gordon. That's all one word. And that is also my website, www.iamjessicagordon.com. From there, you're able to book a free discovery call with me. And again, if you're a TikToker, definitely follow me on there. And then I'm probably second most active on Facebook. But TikTok, I do a lot of video uploads of just like short inner child tips. And that's my jam. That's where I go and post. So yeah.
So go ahead. I guess I need to check some of that out. Could you spell the last name Jessica? Jessicagordon.
Yes, correct.
JessicaGordon.com.
Yep. I am JessicaGordon.com.
Simple as that, folks. All right. Yes. So thank you for sharing with us. We look forward. Oh, there's one more thing I'd like you to tell folks about your workshop. Tell us about your workshop, Inner Child Workshop.
Yes. So
after that, how does that go?
Yeah, so I've been doing my Inner Child Workshop since 2017. In it is very interactive. You're going to be doing exercises, guided meditations, guided hypnosis. I recently partnered with a friend and colleague who does a parent section on there. I am not yet a parent myself. Every time I've hosted this workshop, I get people that's like, oh, I hope I didn't mess up my baby too bad. So my friend who's a parent recovery coach, she has 3 kids of her own. She's incredible at what she does. And so we just want to give the attendees the tools to walk away with, like, I can really heal my inner child, and really get in contact with those. So my goal is to host my next one in Atlanta. I'm trying to come down in about 5 to 6 weeks. Like, Spirit is like, do it soon. So
come on down, we're ready for you.
I'm excited. I'm gonna get in contact with you after this video. So
absolutely. So we are gonna be collaborating. Folks, when I tell you that when we get together and we provide a workshop, you are going to feel it. You are going to see the light, as they say.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, I always end with 3 questions with most of my guests. But question is, because I am the heart lady. So I got to ask you, how do you take care of your heart physically? What do you do to take care of your heart?
Yoga.
Say that again.
Yoga.
Yoga. Beautiful. What do you do to take care of your emotional heart?
Cry.
Oh, I love that answer. Do you know how crying is healing? Don't be afraid to cry. If you feel it, do it. Wipe the tears and keep on moving. Ain't that right? I love that answer. Thank you. And what do you do for your spiritual heart?
Ooh, my spiritual. Ooh, I just got chills. My spiritual heart is I tune everything out and I align with the oneness of who I truly am. Light, I'm a reflection of God. I'm enough. I just get in total alignment and oneness with the truth of who I am. And I usually do that through meditation.
All right, folks. So you heard it from Jessica, the Black hypnotherapist. Yes, those were wonderful, wonderful answers. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
We look forward to seeing you soon. Don't forget to check me out for the next interview. But rewind this, watch it again, and go visit a Black hypnotherapist.